I was asked the other day why I wrote this book. I'm doing some promotions, and when I look back, I wrote this book during a time, and we're still going through it to some extent, but at the time last year of great disruption. We were hit with a global pandemic, and it was amazing how when things of this kind of sort of disruptive nature affects our society, it brings out the best in us, but it also brings out the worst in us. And when we saw how people were scouring for scarce resources, and we also saw how individualism began to rise to the fore, and even violence in many respects. And so the Love Remedy was birthed also at a time of tremendous disruption at the death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. It was a global protest. People were really disturbed by just the nature in which this young black man was killed. It had a global impact and reaction. And it really brought to the fore just how much as a society, as a world, we are divided. We're divided on economic lines, we're divided upon racial lines, we're divided on national lines, we're divided in our politics. And in many ways, there's great division and fracturing that is a part of our society. And this book was really birthed as my way of theologically reflecting what the Bible has to say, what our faith tradition has to say to the world that we're living, a world that is broken, a world that is divided, a world that is fractured, a world that is facing pain and hurt and discrimination and economic disparities. This book it birthed in a way to say, what is the solution to that? And a part of this was I felt God bringing me back to the very core of what does it mean to be human, and what are the foundations upon which a healthy, cohesive, loving society must be built on. One that is based upon equality, equity, and diversity. And the word love came up. And I know the word love is a word that is used as a panacea whenever divisions come out. We want to have this kumbaya moment of just loving each other. But that's not what the love I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of love that is sacrificial, the kind of love that is selfless. And I talk about the Good Samaritan, and I talk about many of the sayings of Jesus. And essentially, this book is underscored by the idea of one, the Shema, loving God, loving ourselves, and loving our neighbor. Knowing that God is love is the foundation upon which we have to build our society. And yes, there is economic disparities which we need to challenge. There are racial disparities which we need to challenge. And issues of protest and conflict will arise in many respects. But in the pursuit of justice, the pursuit of equality, the pursuit of making our society better, we have to recognize that love has to be at the base of what we do. Not just because love is an equalizing factor, but love brings meaning to where we are going. Love gives us a destination point. Otherwise, we are working and we have no direction that we're going to. Love becomes then the bedrock. And so this book is an attempt to get back to the very beginnings of the places where we went wrong. And that is understanding that God is love, and that is the starting point of how we understand our humanity. And so I begin by looking at what does it mean that God is love, and I also begin to talk about the book of John a lot, not just 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John, but also St. John, because John was known as the epistle of love. And over and over and over again in his epistle, he talks about God is love. And that's the basis. It's love that gives meaning to justice. It's love that gives meaning to hope. It's love that gives meaning to struggle, which is why Martin Luther King talked about the great world house. That we have to learn to live together with all our diversities, with all our differences, with all our histories. Learning to live together, and the basis by which this can be done is love. And so, yes, we struggle. Yes, we want to see change. But we must not forget that the basis of what we do, the Christian theology and the Christian edict in terms of how we bring about a better society, is love. In one of the chapters, I talk about the love revolution. And in it, I talked about how the Jesus revolution was so different from the other revolution, whether it's the revolution in France, the revolution in Russia, the revolutions in different parts of the world, even the American Revolution. And all of these revolutions were based upon individuals wanting to become better for themselves. But Jesus's revolution was based not upon strength, not upon force, not upon military might. Jesus' revolution was the only revolution built and based upon love. Today we have over 2 billion people in the world that are called Christians. And this came about because someone died on the basis of love. And so I'm hoping that this book will be, it's my offering, it's my own reflection. And once again, it's not meant to deal with the political notions of justice and so on, but it's really a theological reflection on how we can begin to forge a way forward that is not based upon politics, not based upon supremacy or preference, but is based upon sacrificial love. And it's a way in which I believe the church can be a real model of what it means to be a community, what it means, as Martin Luther King calls it, to be the beloved community. And the beloved community is a community that at its heart is one that is based on love. And so as we struggle, as we look for change, we have to recognize that love is the remedy. Love is the cure for our racially disparaging and segregated and separated world. We have to recognize that love is the remedy. Love is the cure for a racially divided world. I commend this book to you. The Love Remedy.